Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I hope you are doing well. In this video, I would like to share more about my first year experience in my high school as Tafiz student. My high school is a private, fully residential school at Jeram Selangor, and this school is only 45 minutes from my house. This high school name is Sekolah Menengah Islam Hiram. For your information, this high school have two programs that can be chosen. The first program called Tafiz program. The period of the program are only 2 years. The student have to try to finish memorizing the Al-Quran during the period. After 2 years, the student will graduate with the amount of juz that they have memorized. For the other program is an ordinary one, same as the government high school, except several Islamic education are compulsory for the students. For example of Islamic education that are compulsory for students are prophetic biography, Akidah, Fiqh, Tajweed, Al-Quran and Sunnah education, and much more. In 2012, when I am 13 years old, I have taken the Tafiz program. During my Form 1 year, there are several things that happen that makes me want to quit the Tafiz program. For the first week, my ustad teach us the correct pronunciation for each Arabic alphabet. For example, for the correct pronunciation of Arabic alphabet are the difference between the pronunciation of ha and ha. To pronounce the alphabet ha, you need to pronounce as it is thick. To pronounce the alphabet ha, you need to pronounce as you eat a spice and you goes ha. I practice the pronunciation and my ustads will check for any correction if there are any mistakes that I've done. At the end of the first week, I saw all Form 1 students call their parents to take them back to home. At first, I decided to stay and not calling my parents. Then, I thought that I need to call my parents just to tell them about my first week. During the call, after 30 seconds during the call, I felt like I want to cry because of my mother's voice. Then I cried and I requested my mother to take me back to home on the next day. I realized that day that I am homesick. For the next month, I start to recite my first juz and I start to memorize my first juz because I have corrected my pronunciation and my ustads told his students to start from juz 30. In juz 30 it contains simple and short surah, so it is a perfect juz to start for new students to memorize the Al-Quran. Hence, my friends and I start reciting and memorizing Juz 30 starting from Surah An-Naba. So, do you know how to memorize Al-Quran efficiently? One of the methods that I use is by reciting one ayah while looking at each letters for 10 times. Then, I will memorize the ayah without looking at the letters also for 10 times. After that, after I can memorize the ayah without looking at the letters, I can proceed to the next ayah by redo the method on the same ayah. After I finish memorizing the second ayah, then I will memorize from the first ayah to the second ayah, also for 10 times. I will redo the method until at the end of the page. And at the end of the page, at the end of the ayah, I will memorize from the first ayah until the last ayah, also for 10 times. This method obviously consumes time, and sometimes we will feel lazy to redo the methods on the next page. But this method helped me to memorize the surah efficiently. At first, I do the method. I've done the method. In average, I barely got one page in one day to fluently reciting the ayah without looking at the letters. Most of my friends that done the method got to memorize 2 pages fluently per night. There are also some of them that have done the method got to memorize 5 pages per night. It is depends on people and on a person brain to memorize the ayah. After memorizing pages that the pages of Surah An-Naba, we the students need to transmit to our ustads every morning. Tasmid means our ustads will check our correction for reciting the ayah without looking at the letters. The students only able to proceed to continue to memorize the next surah after our ustad done checking us for the whole current surah. For example, if we we can only to continue to memorize surah An-Nazi'ah if the ustad done checking there are no any correction and we have done fluently memorizing the surah An-Naba. For the first half of my year, I always have flaws during tasmid the Al-Quran to my ustads. I am not fluent in reciting the Al-Quran without seeing the letters. My ustads keep corrects me every time I have mistakes during the tasmid. Sometimes he will ask me to get back on my seat to memorize until there's no more mistake. Because of I frequently make mistakes during tasmid. At that time, I feel I want to quit the Tafiz program because it is too hard to memorize the Al-Quran. And I feel I want to continue to the ordinary high school program. So, when the Cuti Wajib Balik came, I asked my parents about it at home. Can you guess? Am I quitting the Tafiz program or not? The answer is no. I'm not quitting the Tafiz program. After I asked my parents about I want to quit the Tafiz program, my parents advised me to continue the Tafiz program. They also bought me a laptop as a gift so that I will continue the Tafiz program. Because of the gift and I don't want to upset my parents, so I continue the Tafiz program with half of my heart until the end. So the days come by as usual from the others. I memorize 1 page daily. Sometimes I got 2 page, and then I transmit to my ustads. I also keep reminding the previous juz, even though I am continuing the next juz. For example, currently I am juz 29. I also need to keep reminding juz 30 on afternoon and evening so that the previous juz I will not forgotten. These activities continue until the end of 2 years of the Tafis program. Finally, I finished my 2 years in Tafis program with only 8 juice in total that I have memorized. There's a little story about my personal life in high school as a Tafis student. Thank you so much for watching.